Hey all, here OS Reviews. You're watching our hands-on review of the Alfawise Y1. At under 14 bucks, it is one of the cheapest smartwatches you can pick up, and it also can be used independently as a cell phone because it supports a SIM card. You can think of it as a basic feature phone on your wrist. You can also connect it to your primary smartphone using Bluetooth, allowing you to show notifications as well as acting as a basic fitness tracker for things like steps. But it doesn't actually tell you your heart rate because there isn't a heart rate sensor. Still, at only 14 bucks, it's extremely low cost if you just want to try something ultra budget. If you want to give it as a gift to maybe a child, it could be worth a closer look. It also has a round display, which again is pretty unique at this really low cost. So taking a closer look at the packaging here, it's extremely simple. It's just a cardboard box, as expected, since the cost is so low. And inside we have just the watch itself, in addition to a micro USB cable for charging and a user manual that is very thinly documented. In fact, it doesn't even have the QR code that you should be able to scan to download the companion application. It's not printed in the manual either. You have to go into the purchasing site here to figure out that the Android app is called Fun Run if you want to pair it with your phone. And then afterwards, the application is free. It can be found in the Google Play Store and in the iOS Store, and this is what it looks like. But anyways, in terms of quick specifications, it's actually running on a MediaTek chipset, and the operating system is also by MediaTek. We've seen it previously in other low-cost smartwatches, not quite as advanced as on an Android Wear device, of course, but decent enough considering, again, it's only $14. Otherwise, this is the processor, the MediaTek 6261D. The screen is IPS and has a 1.5-inch diagonal size, measuring 240 by 240 for the pixel resolution. We've got 32 megabytes of built-in storage, and it also has a 280 milliamp hour capacity battery that is claimed to last up to 3 days. As a quick size comparison, here is the Y1 against the Lenovo Watch 9, and this is the Xiaomi Amazfit Pace. Compared to the Alfawise here, where it has much thicker bezels on the sides, just again because the cost is a lot cheaper. Otherwise, the watch is made entirely out of plastic along the sides, but it doesn't feel too cheap or hollow, still has a decent weight to it. There's tempered glass on the front here, and on the side we have a rubber flap that covers up the micro USB port for charging. The other side features a power key and a microphone that is used to pick up your voice if you're using it as a phone, so I can tap and hold for a few seconds to turn it on. You'll also find on the back, again, just a plastic plate. There's no heart rate sensor, but you can remove this to have access to the micro SIM card slot. So tapping on the key once will actually bring the screen onto life, and it will show a analog watch face by default, which is matching because, again, it's a round display. So you want to take advantage of this by having a more analog view of the time. And you can also tap on it once, again, to put it back to sleep. I can also tap on the display to change the watch face. So there's another analog representation. I can tap on it again to change it to, let's say, another one. I can also long hold on this watch face here to bring up the dialer pad. So if I was connected to a phone using Bluetooth, or if it had a SIM card pop in independently, I can make phone calls either way. The interesting thing is, even though, again, it's very low cost, it is a capacitive touchscreen, so it's slightly easier to use than I was expecting. The keys are still pretty small, but it's pretty easy to hit. From the screen, I can swipe up, down, left, or right, so any direction to bring up additional controls and features. So these are all the apps installed, including the sleep monitoring, the file manager on here. You can set up an alarm, so pretty simple stuff. Again, the menu here is very familiar looking. If you've ever used another cheap smartwatch, chances are it's running on this MediaTek operating system that works, again, better than expected, but it's not really as advanced as on Android Wear. But there's a calculator on here. Over here, I can take a look at power management as well as motion controls. So if the motion sensor is turned on, that means I can just flick my wrist to bring the screen to life automatically without tapping on the hardware key on the side. I can also flip the watch over on my wrist to mute an incoming call, so you can adjust some of these settings here and there. Over here, we can also have access to the dialer again, the phone book of my contacts, messaging if I want to compose a new message here. Again, it brings up this very small keyboard, so this is definitely a little tricky to tap on. Again, better than expected, but for sure you need a little bit of patience and not really ideal. But if you have to, in an emergency, you can peck something out. You use this T9 predictive input. And if I tap on the globe here, I can also change the input method. It supports uppercase, lowercase, as well as some other language formats as well. You can actually scroll through to see a full list. We also have access to, again, the notifications. That includes messages from Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp can all be pushed over. Next tab over, we have the sedentary reminder. So again, sitting down for too long, it's going to vibrate to give you a reminder. Calendar is very simple. Unfortunately, you can't sync appointments or notifications. You can only see the time of the day, but at least it's functional and it's there. There's also a kind of a quick binding QR code, which you can scan after downloading the app on the phone to very quickly link this thing up. And there's also the pedometer here, so you can quickly see how many steps you've walked, perhaps in a timed session, as well as during the entire day. And even though it is an IPS panel, which has decent viewing angles, it still is pretty easy to glare under the sun. So if outdoor visibility is your number one concern, this might not be the perfect watch for you. E-ink or a transflective panel will definitely work better. So I've connected this to my phone using Bluetooth, and I've opened up the remote music controller, and this is basically being used as both a Bluetooth controller and a Bluetooth speaker. The sound is coming out from the watch. So for instance, I'm on YouTube right now, and if I tap on play, the sound is actually coming out from the watch. And that's the speaker on the back. Alright, so pausing the track there, takeaway is it gets louder than expected, but the speaker isn't very good. It's kind of tinny, it distorts at higher volumes, but for things like ringtones and alarms, sure, it works. The Bluetooth remote is basically using the phone's camera and then using the watch as a selfie remote key where you can also see what the phone's camera is seeing. So for instance, I'm pointing at this box right now, you get a preview on the watch's display. So that's actually pretty cool. I can tilt it over and it also tilts over on the watch. So if I want to capture this, I can snap an image without touching my phone. And once you're paired using Bluetooth, you can also see the phone book. So you can easily scroll through and manage all the contacts you have on your phone and then dial them directly by tapping on the watch. And let's try doing a finding my phone. So if I've lost my phone, let's tap on this key and it will ring my device. Tap on OK and the phone will stop ringing. So that works pretty well as long as you're connected by Bluetooth range, which is around 10 meters or 33 feet between the watch and the phone. As far as the battery life is concerned, overall it lasted me through an entire day and a half before I needed to recharge it again, so it's average for a smartwatch. It does last shorter if you are using it as a normal phone, so with a SIM card inserted and all of the cell services activated, it does drain power faster. Now, as far as the companion app on the phone is concerned, again, this is what it looks like. The app itself is pretty basic, so not too much you can see, but it is, again, functional, so it will track your steps and it will sync it over to the smartphone here. So again, this is by no means the best smartwatch or the best fitness tracker in the world, but for the price, it performs better than really expected. It works as a simple timepiece for looking at the time. The fact that it has a round display, I think, does look pretty good. Even though if you look very closely, I do suspect that it's actually a square display, but they've cut it off using the bezels to make it look round, just because a round actual cutout for the display would be more costly to manufacture. That's probably why they have such a thick bezel going on. But anyways, it doesn't really distract from the usability. It still looks quite sleek, much more expensive than really the price would suggest. The fact that it can also be used as a dedicated cell phone is pretty unique, so you can make it as kind of a spy backup phone when you're on the go. And you don't want to invest in something more expensive because all you do is just check out the time, maybe occasionally call someone on your wrist, or have a backup phone that is extremely portable, then that's maybe a reason to consider this. So you can check out more details in the links down below, but for now that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That has been the ultra affordable Alfawise Y1 smartwatch.